7:43 right now. With a weak La Niña winter ahead, there could be a higher chance for mountain snow, even flurries in Seattle. It's just picturesque looking at the video here on your screen. However, a snowy winter isn't necessarily a slam dunk. So joining us now to talk about this is state climatologist Guillaume Mauger to break down what we can expect. Guillaume, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
So with a La Niña winter, we normally anticipate cooler and wetter than normal weather in the Pacific Northwest, but you're saying not so fast. We're not so sure.
Well, I mean, first of all, like the La Niña or El Niño, those are just loading the dice, right? So we don't always know what to expect. But there is another factor this winter that's different, which is going into winter out of last summer, we've got a little bit warmer sea surface temperatures than normal off on the Pacific. And that could affect our conditions here. Mostly temperatures could slightly warm things up, you know, which would counteract the La Niña effect. And it's not as clear what that means for precipitation, but it could have an effect there as well.
That's so interesting. And for people who don't know, when we're talking about La Niña, that normally means we're talking about cooler water temperatures in the eastern Pacific near the equator, okay? And weirdly, I mean, sea surface temperatures, they have a greater impact on our weather than most people might realize. So part of the Pacific might be cooler, another part might be warmer. Right. Is that why you're saying it'll be kind of a push and pull thing? Yeah,
that's exactly right. Thanks for clearing that up. So the Eastern equatorial Pacific is going to be cooler than normal. Already is, actually. We're already in a La Niña. But offshore of our area, off the Northeast Pacific, is a little bit warmer than normal. Parts of it at least are. And I think the way to think about it is, because you're right, it's kind of unintuitive. Why does the ocean temperature matter? But, you know, the water holds a lot more heat than air, right? Like the top 8 feet or so of the ocean holds the same amount of heat as the whole atmosphere.
Oh, wow. That's a fun fact.
It makes a big difference for us.
Okay. Now, for people who are avid skiers or snowboarders, they really want the breakdown of what we're expecting this winter. What's kind of the bottom line for what they can look ahead to?
I mean, it's hard to give a bottom line, right? Like the bottom line is probably uncertainty. But, you know, odds are in our favor for a good ski season, right? Like in general, La Niñas tend to be good. But they aren't guaranteed, right? It's just tilting the odds in our favor, right? So last year was a weak La Niña. We didn't have an awesome ski season. It was fine, but it wasn't amazing.
Yeah. You know, I do want to remind people, let's take y'all back to February of 2019, okay? That was when we had record snow in Seattle. We had more than 20 inches for the total month. And that happened during an El Niño winter when we would normally expect wetter or drier and warmer than normal weather. So it just goes to show you that regardless of the exact pattern, things can pan out differently than you originally anticipate.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah, we're looking back at that. Okay. For kids who want snow days this winter, what do you think the chances are for lowland snow too? Oh
man, that's a hard question, because you know, like it's a hard combination of conditions to get lowland snow, right? And so La Niña, it's not really going to have a big effect on that. The biggest effect on lowland snow is actually climate change. It's warmer than it used to be, so we don't get it as much as we used to have. But La Niña, El Niño, yeah, maybe slightly higher odds in a La Niña, but really it's, you know, you need to get that weird pattern where we're getting cold air coming in over the mountains from the east, and you're getting a storm coming in that happens to come in at the same time and doesn't disrupt that too much, as you know well. Like, that's hard to combine.
You're right. Like, yeah, literally all of the ingredients have to come together for snow in Seattle. So that's going to be interesting. Hey, we've had a decent amount of rain recently. There are still drought conditions in the state, but how has our recent moisture affected the drought, and kind of why does that matter?
Yeah, so this is actually the big topic I wanted to talk about today with you. You know, just taking Seattle as an example, if you look from last October, 2024, to this October, we're 10 inches below normal for that amount of time, right? So normally we'd get about 40 inches. We got about 30 instead, right? And this isn't the worst part of the state. You know, parts of the Olympic Mountains are 15 to 20 inches behind. The Yakima, another example, that's where that one place that got hit really hard this year, excuse me. They've only had, in the span of the last 3 years, they've only had 2 years worth of precipitation, right? So they're missing an entire year in the last 3 years. So they're really dry.
And why, really quickly in the last 10 seconds, how does the drought affect things right now?
You know, we're going into our wet season, right? So things are improving, but we're not making up the deficit, right? And so we've got, the big one right now is that our reservoir levels are low. And in some cases, like in the Yakima, low enough that they may not recover by the spring and summer season when we need it for irrigation.
And the Seattle Reservoir is in better shape, but elsewhere in the state?
In general, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guillaume Mauger, I feel like we could have you here all day, and we would absolutely love it. But thanks for coming and joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. Okay.